Yesterday, I was running a meeting from 8 until 5:30.
Right.
I can't keep up this pace, guys. I just can't. So, I do read what you write, what you post in the forum. I just don't have time to grade because I don't want to give you what I call a flippant grade. That's it. It's done, okay? And it's interesting to me, a couple of issues that are coming up in the discussions. By the way, the extra copies, I have extra copies that you needed.
Oh, yeah.
Did I lie? Did I leave them? I'll run upstairs.
Could you maybe just make more typos?
See what?
I'm the class disappointment today, and I forgot all of my stuff in this class. All of it. Even the book.
Okay, so there's some that are sitting on my desk. I'll run and make some more copies.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
That's okay, don't. I have said repeatedly, if you expect perfection, you're in the wrong class and with the wrong instructor. Let's get that out of the way, because today we had a meeting at noon and someone was talking about how do we tell our students we're not perfect? How do we convey that message?
Let them down softly.
No, just say it. Just say it. I cut you slack, you need to cut me slack too. That's how it is. Okay, so we parked it out there, right? Okay. So, one of the things that's interesting to me, and I didn't realize that I indoctrinated some of you, was with the genre in Three Traditions article, how much you like much more the Australian version.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you also need to know you like the Australian version because that's the one I like too, okay? And I think in terms, not I like it because I like it, but I think that if you look in the larger picture, the issues we talk about, equity and access, the Australians to me make sense, okay? The other thing I noticed in your forums, okay, was an interesting sort of discussion about register and genre that you had. Please tell me that I did not leave all my stuff upstairs. You were talking about perfection, right? I have to run up, but that's okay, we'll do that. So, I brought you a couple of things that I want you to see. I like the Australians because they like to have pictures, diagrams that make me understand what's going on. So, in very general terms, because we mix the terms, in the North American tradition, we mix the terms register and genre, and actually genre is something that my lit students know as poetry or fiction. Can you articulate the difference between the two? In your own words.
I can try.
Well, no, it has to be perfect.
I would define genre as a classification that's based on certain established and more static conventions of what's expected in terms of the purpose of the piece, as opposed to register, which I would say is defined in terms of how it's portrayed in response to what's expected from social desirability and ideas of like, I lost it. There are certain expected things in a given text.
Okay.
And so those
Like let's take a simple text.
Okay.
Like a complaint letter.
Right.
Okay? So
that's going to have both, I mean, register and genre are together. They're not completely separate ideas. So the genre would be found in the complaint letter, the letter format of dear so-and-so, statement of problem, potentially suggested solution depending on the format, salutation, name, date,
That's
etc.
right. And that, of course, is a cultural response, right?
Yes.
So one of the things you always want to think about when you think about genre is that it is a purposeful cultural response to a situation. So, for example, if you want to complain to a company in this country, how do you do it?
Politely.
Sort of politely, that's right, more or less. But you do it with a letter. And so you gave me also the conventions that mark that genre, right? The salutation, you cannot just ignore those conventions, right? And the genre conventions, I really, really, really like that chart in your book. I need a bigger desk. I need a bigger desk.
Do you want me to help you move the camera?
Oh, if I can't lift that, we're in trouble. And we are in trouble. All my triathlons have been cancelled this year.
No.
Yeah, so the incentive to go to the gym, in the spring there was incentive, which kept me out of here. And, I didn't have to put 10, 12 hours here. Gone, just gone. So, I really, really, really like this chart, and of course, because on page, I'll show you which one. This one. The genre and register features and markers. This one in conjunction with this. So one is on page 55 and the other one is on page 16, okay? And it's really important for us as we try to wrap our heads around what the difference is, okay? So if you look at 16, okay, in the context of the complaint letter, right? We need a complete text because some of the genre conventions appear only once, and that's where the genre conventions, so the salutation, the closing, right? So what about register? So if genre is a culturally appropriate response, register is, here is my favorite diagram, you guys. This little thing, okay? So, let me make it English to you because they did not use the terms. Biber and Connor don't use the terms feel, tenor, and mode, but these define the context of the situation. Okay, so the topic, let's match them with your book so I can explain to you so you could see what's going on. So if you look on page 40, the situational characteristics, okay, the topic would be the field, what we're talking about, right? The communicative purposes is part of the genre. Okay, the communicative and the social purposes. Think of it, how do we, if our purpose is to entertain, okay? What genres are appropriate for entertainment? What written text do we have for entertainment? What comes to mind?
Magazines.
Magazines?
Fiction.
Books? What books?
Non-fiction.
Fiction, right, novels, stories, right? These are different genres, right? Their social purpose, their communicative purpose, their social purpose, okay? That's up here. So Biber and Conrad have mixed the two on that page 40, and I wish they had not, because I know what theoretical framework they're using. They're using this, but they're not telling us that, okay? So this light blue, that's your register. These are, look at it, your language choices for a specific context. Your genre includes the culturally appropriate social purposes. Your head spinning? No, it's not. No, don't tell me it is.
I'm still a little bit confused about the center one is field, tenor, and mode.
Okay, here is an easier one, okay? What's
Yes.
field tenor? Yes, that's much easier. Okay. Your book on page 19. 40. Okay. So, situational characteristics of registers and genres is table 2.1 on 40. And these define the context of situation. And look at it here. The register, right, is what? First of all, the field. What is happening? The field is really the topic. What is the topic we're looking at? How general is it? How specific it is? Okay? The tenor involves participants and relationships among participants. Okay? And that's what is 1 and 2, number 40, on page 40. Mode involves channel, okay? Production circumstances, communicative purpose is your genre, okay? So that, the first part, this part, what is your general purpose and the specific purpose? That's part of genre, because these are culturally approved ways, okay? Another way to think about it, genre, register, language, okay? So you go, language choices, okay? So if I only have you do syntactic analysis, what we do in 315, it's simply linguistic analysis, okay? Register involves what? The connection between language features and situation, contextual situation, so that you can decide why the situation drives linguistics, right? Genre is what governs everything, because genre is culturally appropriate ways. Yeah.
Question, so on the diagram on page 40,
Oof. It's a mishmash, yeah.
so number 5, okay, so what I have so far is 1 and 2 are tenor.
1 and 2 are tenor, and I've tried to map them in my book, and there's no great mapping, okay? 1 and 2 are tenor, 3 and 4 are mode, part of 6 is mode, but I think factuality and expression has more to do with topic, has to do with field.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It's not a perfect mapping, and I don't know why they chose to hide the framework that guides them. Because to me, by hiding it, it makes it more difficult. That whole discussion, chapter 3 in particular, not so much 2. 2 is manageable. But when they go into chapter 3, it becomes really difficult, and I didn't realize it until I started reading your forum responses. And I thought, whoa, there's a gap here that is not your issue, but it's the book's issue. You're missing the theoretical framework. So we'll talk more about the systemic functional approach next week. But I wanted to give you at least these 2 pictures because I work really well with images. So, does that help you? Yeah.
Just to clarify, so here, language, you're talking the specific language choices in a given text, yes?
In a given text, in which of the?
Language here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, in a specific text. Yeah.
Cool.
So think in terms of classes, right? Think of this as 315, and this is 450.
Cool.
Okay? Does that help you?
So, since I didn't attend all the classes, can you put it in a script? So, we are saying,
Repeat again, please. Remember, I'm an international.
no, I didn't attend all the classes I attend.
You did. This one, you did by virtue of the fact that you're not a native speaker of the language. You learn, this is basic grammar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what we did. Instead of,
Okay. So it is like, if it's genre, this, and register is the situation, so according to the situation, we are going to choose the language.
Exactly.
So it's like.
Exactly. But before you can discuss register in terms of how the situation drives linguistic choices, you have to be able to see linguistic choices. In 315, what we basically do, what do we do in 315? So I don't badmouth anything. I teach the class. What do we teach you in 315?
Our own language, structure, how it works, parts, labels.
Labels for different things, like what is a verb? What does it look like? What's a noun phrase? What does it look like? So making native speakers aware of their own language.
Pretty much everything that was on the scavenger hunt was like our entire 315 class.
It's like the structure and the grammar we are taking.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's developing metacognitive awareness.
In this diagram, could you say that the language circle is like the style aspect of the class? Or
You could, of course you could, as long as you understand that it's, if we talk about style, we're talking about conscious aesthetic choices.
right.
But they're not purposeful. Think, if you want to see the difference, another way to think about the difference, to be honest, to me as a linguist, registers the most, absolutely most interesting part. So let me give you an example. Some of you were with me in 440, writing 440. You did this. The unfamiliar genre project that you did was this. Okay, but I couldn't demand a lot of linguistic knowledge there because it was an uneven crowd. As a linguist, this I think is the most interesting part to me. So if you think of style, style is always choice, but it's not functional, it's simply aesthetic. So I like this versus I like that, but there's no deeper, functional, purposeful reason.
So register, you're looking at the text overall. Style, you could be comparing between texts.
Sure.
Are similar.
Sure. Yes. So one of the assignments you will do, I don't know if, no, this is not the book with the syllabus. The book with the syllabus is at home. I take the syllabus inside. I have two of these. Because at some point one had disappeared, I had loaned it out and I thought I had lost my textbook. So,
Would you like the syllabus?
yes! I look at this, just look at this. Organized and no one else will watch this video, right? Okay. So if you look at this, this one, syntactic complexity, that assignment, you're looking only at your own style from an aesthetic purpose. And you could actually compare, those of you who were in 350 last term, the project that Chiliz did, she compared her own style to Toni Morrison's. Toni Morrison's, I mean, the general genre is fiction, right? But it's style she was looking at. She was looking at stylistic choices. Yeah. So this is, you could do your own writing. You could actually look at your own writing. You could compare your writing, and this is traditionally how we've done stylistic analysis. Compare your writing to someone you admire, you want to emulate. I learned to write academic writing, not because anyone taught me. In grad school, they assumed we knew how to write papers. Of course, you know, I was an undergrad in Greece. We didn't write papers. You went for a whole academic year, You had a 2-hour exam, a final. You had 10 books to read. It didn't matter. We had to read all of Shakespeare's plays, right? They throw quotes at you. You have to place them and talk about their significance, and you either pass or you fail. And you could only fail 2 classes. That was it. So I came from a tradition where I did not know what a paper looked like, and my early papers are talking head papers, voiceless, completely voiceless. And I learned to write and publish because I looked at writers that I really enjoyed, academic writers, and Peter Elbow is one of them because I like how casual his style is, and I consciously imitated his style. So that's the only way I think to learn. Okay? Yes?
This might be off topic, so feel free. But so genre is culturally appropriate conventions or are culturally dictated, but style
Text.
Thank you. Style is also in some ways culturally dictated, right? Is there a connection between there? No.
No, style is personally connected because genre is always culture and driven by specific purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Style doesn't have it. The only purpose is aesthetic.
Okay. I'm just thinking about cultures where certain styles of text would not, even if you're making a conscious choice for effect, it doesn't come across within that cultural context, I guess.
Can you talk to me more?
I'm blanking on examples. So I'm blanking on any sort of example. But if you're choosing something stylistically not for a functional purpose, but it isn't understood or it doesn't isn't able to be recognized in a cultural context, or it doesn't come across clearly in the
You
style
can
that
blur
want.
this. You can. We talk always about if you're bringing in any discussion of culture, you're looking at genre really.
Okay.
Not style.
Okay.
Though we use the terms sort of loosely. So, okay. We've talked about this in 440. You've heard me talk about it. Wedding invitations in this country. Okay? What do they look like? Yeah?
They're typically addressed by the bride's parents to everyone. So the parents of, or we invite you to, but it's always from, well, not always, typically, traditionally.
Typically, it is the parents invite you to the marriage of their daughter to Mr. So-and-so, right? Or the couple invites you. But there is sort of, what is the purpose of the wedding invitation?
To get you to come to the wedding.
To get you to come to the wedding, right? But there's also another purpose. If you think about it, read between the lines a bit. If it's just to get you to come to the wedding, why aren't they simple? Why is their whole, what we call a chain of genres? So what does the production look like? You said
Engagement announcements.
engagement announcements,
Save the date.
save the date. Okay, these are called genre chains, right? And then the invitation. And within the invitation, what else is there? A little thing for the reception, right? And depending how fancy, and I've had invitations that came to the house that looked like little gift boxes, like this thick, right? Yes. Talk about fancy. So, depending on the fanciness of the invitation, there's also the expectation of an appropriate gift, right? So, that's a culturally appropriate way.
Yeah.
People get married all over the world, right? So, how does a wedding invitation look in your culture? The genre is, the purpose is the same, right?
Yeah, it's usually start with a line of poem and I would say,
Okay.
and then from the parents of blah blah blah, they invite you to come to their son and daughters with him, and then they have a little chat, like the place, the date, if there is a dinner,
Mhm.
Or if it's next day, they would say, and then at the end, they would say the third day of the wedding place. And then they put the name of the inviters, like your grandmother, we are respected, they would put it, or any older people, they would.
So it's a single text, right? It's a single artifact or 3 or 4 pieces of.
No, it's one.
It's
Just
one with
and
multiple
at the end-
sections.
And at the end, they would say, this is not allowed, if there is something not allowed to be bringing.
Right.
Like this.
In my culture, it's even simpler. It's a small. It used to be. It's changing. But it's truly a wedding invitation. Is simply the genre is announcing. Okay. So there's no within that genre. You could have style in terms of is it the parents who are inviting or is it the couple?
Okay,
That's about it.
understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So does that?
Thank you, yes.
Yeah. So, is the distinction becoming a little clear in terms of style versus register and genre? What we are focusing on primarily will be register, okay? Style are individual choices as writers. You could compare styles, okay? But there's no functional purpose, okay? So, I'm gonna run up and get extra handout for you and my notes. 'Cause
And
there's
I need
7.
one.
You need one.
I
Yeah.
need one.
Mine
Which
aren't
one?
stapled. If it's easier to do it without a staple, you're welcome to them.
No, they're all sitting on my desk. You need one. Which one do you need? The saffron?
Yes.
It should be sitting on my desk. My desk was hit today by the paper storm.